Hey movie fans, as we put the finishing touches on 2023, let's look ahead to the year that will be 2024 in the world of movies. We've got some pretty big releases coming out. Now, I will say, it's going to be an interesting year. It seems like I see the jokes online that 2024 is kind of the filler year before 2025. Everything comes out, like Fantastic Four, The Batman 2, and Superman Legacy. That being said, 2024 seems like it's still primed to be a very, very good year in movies, so let's look at my top 10 most anticipated movies for 2024. Kicking us off at number 10, I have Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. Basically, the next Godzilla vs. Kong crossover slash team up, whatever we want to call it. I actually really liked Godzilla vs. Kong. I'm kind of just a sucker for kaiju movies in general. I really like Pacific Rim. I really like Kong Skull Island. This seems to be a fun continuation of that. Just slap giant monsters on screen, and I'll sometimes have a good time with it. Didn't love Godzilla 2014, but I'm hearing great things about Godzilla -1, so I'm hoping that momentum continues on in the next couple months. When we get Godzilla x Kong, we seem to be getting the Son of Kong type storyline, which is I'm curious to see how they approach it. At number 9, we have one that's a sequel to a movie that I guess I just liked more than most people, and that is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Another Empire movie. Weird. I actually think I like the Ghostbusters reboot more than a lot of people, so I was really excited to see the next step. The trailer is okay. It's not like the best trailer, it's not the worst trailer, but it got me interested enough. But I like the characters and what they set up enough in that first new Ghostbusters that I'm curious to see more. I'll just be curious if everyone else has that general sentiment, or if we're on the track record for what 2023 was of a lot of bombs. I'm hoping that 2024 is more of a rebound year, so we'll see what the general interest is in the Ghostbusters franchise with Frozen Empire. Again, I liked it a whole lot more than other people, so we'll see if more people came around to liking new Ghostbusters or not. At number 8, we have a movie that I almost forgot was coming out this year just because it doesn't feel like that long ago since the last one, and I had so much fun with it, and it's a character that's just so much fun, especially how they've done it, and that is Sonic 3. So I really like both Sonic movies. I had no expectations whatsoever for that first Sonic. I know Josh and I roasted it on the podcast, just going, wow, that is one of the most hideous designs of all time. But to the studio's credit, they took the feedback, fixed Sonic's design. The first one was great. I actually like the second Sonic better. I think the second one is a lot of fun, and it's one of the best video game adaptations ever. It's just a really good video game movie. I'm really excited for the third one, especially with the tease that they had at the end of Sonic 2. If you haven't seen it, I'm not going to tell you specifically what that tease was, but as a casual Sonic fan, when I saw that tease at the end, I'm going, perfect. That's exactly the direction you need to go for Sonic 3. I want that on the big screen. I need that. It seems to be a lot of fun. It's just one of those, it's an established franchise that I really like, and I want that success to keep going because the first two have no right being as fun as they are, and I want that trend to continue for Sonic 3. At number 7, it is yet another sequel, but in this case, it's not so much a sequel as it is a Part 2, Dune Part 2. I liked but didn't love the first Denis Villeneuve Dune. Like, it was really well made. I can respect the technical aspects, but I also at the same time understand that the first part of Dune was a lot of the world building and the setup that really needs to happen if you're going to get invested in the world and the characters, and I get that. I think just a lot of more people were hyped about it than I was. I thought it was good. It was fine. That being said, from the Dune heads that I know, I should be really excited for part 2, and the trailers have definitely seemed like that. This seems to be much more action-oriented. In fact, that's exactly what director Denis Villeneuve has said about part 2. He says, the first one was all set up. This is definitely more of the action side of it. I'm going, perfect. I like the cast. It was a mega cast in that first one, just star-studded. Seems to be continuing for part 2. I don't really know what to expect. I've not read the books, but the trailers have really won me over. I love the visual style of the first one, and I expect that to continue for the second one. It's just, okay, cool, let's go. I want to love the second one as much as people love the first one, if that makes sense. Maybe even more so if the second one lives up to the high expectations that Dune fans have for it. At number 6, we have it. Another sequel. Wow. Hollywood really is dead, isn't it? 2024 is just a year chock full of sequels. However, this is a sequel that I'm really, really happy to see because the first one of these was a movie that came out of nowhere and blew my socks off, and that is Smile 2. Yes, we're getting a sequel to Smile. Y'all, I am a huge horror fan. If you've been on this channel for any length of time, you know that about me. After a while, when you start watching a bunch of horror movies, you get desensitized to it. Like, you don't get scared as much just because you can pick up on the trends and the tropes and you kind of see scares coming, or horror movies will take breathers to let you kind of recalibrate and not be scared the whole time. Smile does not do that. Smile was one of the first horror movies in a while that genuinely creeped me out and scared me from bell to bell. Granted, I was not impressed with a lot of the marketing and the trailers for Smile. I thought it was meh. And then I saw the movie and I was completely blown away. It's one of the best horror movies I've seen in recent memory. It was outstanding to the point of, okay, given how the movie ends, I need to see more stories focused on different characters. I like the mythology that they set up with the creature and the horror of Smile. I'm trying to be vague for those that haven't seen it. If you love horror, check out Smile. It's fantastic. But we just got casting that Naomi Scott will be the lead in Smile 2. Great. She's awesome. She's definitely one of those, like, on the rise, if not already there, megastars in the world of Hollywood. I really like Naomi Scott. I love the first Smile. Just get it even remotely close to the ballpark of that first one in terms of scares and storytelling. I am on board. That first Smile is fantastic. Give me more good horror sequels, please. Number 5 is a movie that I'm excited for, but I'm tentative of whether or not I actually believe it will come out in 2024. Because right now, the new Karate Kid movie is scheduled for like December 2024, but I don't think they've started filming or they're putting out the broadcasting search right now. So I'm hoping that it comes out in December, but I'm not holding my breath yet. But I am a big Karate Kid fan. Not to be full-on hipster here, but I've been watching Cobra Kai since it was on YouTube Red. Before it was even on Netflix, I specifically got YouTube Red just to watch Cobra Kai. I have seen all the original Karate Kid movies endlessly, even the Hilary Swank one, and I still firmly defend the Jaden Smith one as fantastic. I know it's probably more accurate to call it the Kung Fu Kid, but whatever. I really like Karate Kid, and I only got even more hyped when I found out that both Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan will be returning and reprising their roles, albeit seemingly like confirming that the universes are crossing over of the Karate Kid reboot and the original timeline, which raises all kinds of questions for the finale of Cobra Kai, which is also supposed to come out in 2024. I have said forever for that show that the two things that I want are Daniel to do the crane kick. Not going to say if that happens or not on the show, because again, I want y'all to see that show because it's fantastic. But I've also wanted You're the Best from the original Karate Kid. So 3 things, I guess. You're the Best from the original Karate Kid to make its appearance at some point in the show. And I want Jackie Chan's Mr. Han. Now, the creators of Cobra Kai have said from the get-go, it's a separate universe, blah, blah, blah. I think plans might have changed in the interim, and I'm still kind of crossing my fingers that Jackie Chan shows up at the end of Cobra Kai, which, if that happens, all of you watching this will be able to hear my cries of joy whenever that episode drops. That being said, if all of Cobra Kai was set up for a new Karate Kid movie or something in that universe, I'm okay with that. At number 4, we have Deadpool 3, the one and only MCU movie coming out in 2024. It's weird to say. That being said, I've been excited for Deadpool 3 for a while. One, because Deadpool's a fun character. Granted, I don't know if I love him nearly as much as his rabid fan base does. I think the first Deadpool is fine. I like the second one a little bit more. But what's actually really selling me is Sean Levy being the one to direct this. He did Real Steel, the Night at the Museum movies. As a Disney Channel fan, he will always be the guy that did Famous Jet Jackson to me. He's responsible for a lot of Stranger Things. Sean Levy is one of those directors that really has gone under the radar. I understand that this movie's probably going to be cameo heaven, and I think that's super cool. Am I a little confused and or concerned about how this ties into the greater MCU and a continuing muddling of the multiverse? Yeah, a little bit, but sometimes I just like to have fun. And when Ryan Reynolds, you know, his movies are going to be fun. I'm curious how they are going to implement the other Fox characters, the ones that we know for a fact are confirmed, the ones that are speculated. I think it should be a lot of fun all around. I'm curious to see what Sean Levy brings to the table from a directing standpoint. I'm curious to see certain characters come back. And with Wolverine in particular, there's that one thing that we've all been asking for over 20 years now. If we get that, it'll all be worth it. So fingers crossed for Deadpool 3. At number 3, we have one of the proud and a few actually original concepts. It's Bullet Train director David Leitch doing another action comedy, this time called The Fall Guy, starring Ryan Gosling. So basically this movie is Ryan Gosling is a Hollywood stuntman that is the stuntman for his ex-girlfriend's movie, and when her lead actor disappears from the movie, he has to go and get that guy back, and he goes on this wacky adventure. Why is he sent? Because he's the stuntman and no one notices if the stuntman goes missing. I was hooked immediately when I saw this trailer, going, that definitely looks like the guy that brought us Bullet Train, and I really liked Bullet Train. And also, if I remember correctly, David Leitch also did Deadpool 2, which I like Deadpool 2 more than Deadpool 1. The Fall Guy looks like a lot of fun. It's got this fun, chaotic energy. It combines the stuff that I like, which is action comedies, but also I'm a sucker for movies about movie making, whether it's like The Disaster Artist or Ed Wood. I like those, like, pseudo peek behind the curtains, even if it's in a fantasy sense. But this seems like a lot of fun. Ryan Gosling is arguably one of, if not the biggest names in Hollywood right now, so I'm very much on board with this. I'm glad people are finally recognizing his comedic abilities, because not nearly enough of you have seen The Nice Guys, and that needs a sequel. If The Nice Guys was getting a sequel, that'd be pretty high on my anticipated list. But in the meantime, The Fall Guys will have to do. At number 2, we have another sequel shocker, but this one should come as no surprise to anybody that listened to the podcast back when I was around. I had a jar for this, or at least I should have. Kung Fu Panda 4. Wow, it seems weird to say that this franchise has been going on for this long, but the trailer just dropped a few days ago, and I'll be honest, it follows the typical Kung Fu Panda trend for me, of the first trailer and all the trailers don't really win me over, and I'm going, that doesn't look that great. I see the movie and I go, wow, that's outstanding. There's no way they're gonna top it. Trailer for the next one. Wow, that's a really bad trailer. See the movie. Wow, that was really good. Way better than it had any right to be. There's no way they can top it. And then they do it again and again. So my faith is in the creative team. I really like the potential story that they're going with this. So they've said that Poe this time around is being trained to not be the Dragon Warrior anymore, and he's going to be the spiritual leader. So he needs to find a new Dragon Warrior, and all the old villains seem to be coming back. Going, that's interesting. Poe actually having to face all of his old enemies. That could be interesting. Who is the new Dragon Warrior? How does Poe adjust to this new life? It's just as Kung Fu Panda. And at number 1, this should not be a surprise to anyone, but it's not showing up on a lot of people's most anticipated lists, and I think that's because it's going under the radar in favor of like bigger, sexier names, so to speak. But when it comes to the horror world, this has been the title that Josh and I have both kept our eye on for a very long time, and now that it's finally coming, oh, it's absolutely my most anticipated movie of 2024. Robert Eggers' Nosferatu movie. Guys, I love horror movies, but more specifically, I really like and yearn for more of the old school gothic horror. Like, I really like the Universal monster movies. Granted, they're not all great, but I like that old school, like, lavish set designs, period piece, the very specific gothic horror that comes with that, like strong contrast and dark shadows, just creepy imagery, the very stereotypical spookiness. And Robert Eggers has absolutely said he's promising to do that with Nosferatu. He said a lot of the old gothic horror nowadays isn't really scary, and he's aiming to make it actually scary old school period piece. I'm going, perfect, because Robert Eggers, the guy that gave us The Lighthouse, The Witch, The Northman, he very much likes to be period accurate. It's one of the main reasons I love The Witch. The Lighthouse is a movie that I'm still trying to process. But I've been so excited to see what he does with an actual classic Dracula story, because that's what Nosferatu is. It's a legally distinct Dracula. But I've been so curious to see what his style, what his eye for filmmaking will do with a classic Dracula story. I love his set pieces that he always implements, so I'm very excited to see what that looks like in an old school sense. I've been clamoring for more old school horror for the longest time, and now that we're finally getting one, I am so amped. But what do you guys think? What are your most anticipated movies of 2024? Whatever your thoughts, let me know down in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you see and want to see more, subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay sharp, movie guys and gals.